Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited because today we are doing another live channeling, and I'm here with my wing woman, Helen Peterson. Helen, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
All the feelings.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Are you nervous?
I wouldn't say nervous. I'd say like anxious. Like I've
Oh,
been
really?
all day today. I've been kind of like antsy, like getting
You've
to this
been
point.
you've been prepping. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think is making you feel antsy? Like what part of it? What part of it?
Well, I think this is like the first time that I'm in this position of like you channeling. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like, is it going to be different than like the channeling events or like all the
Mhm.
other times that I've been in person with you,
Mhm.
like when things I think that's where like the excitement is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's always a little different. I think what's going to be interesting is when because I haven't done this in front of like in this style before, if I don't go in trance and I keep my eyes open and I let them talk through me, I think that's really going to throw my friends off, you
Maybe.
know?
Yeah.
Like I think it's easier when it's someone you don't know, but
Yeah.
when it's someone you know and you like know my personality, but I also think that's better because it's so obviously not me.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so Helen actually, yeah, because it's the first time you've been on the show. We've known each other for a long time now.
Yeah. Quite a
Um,
while.
yeah, I don't even remember when we first met, but we met when you and Kaylee had your podcast.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
So we have podcasted before, just
yeah, we've
on
we've
our old one.
podcasted
Yeah.
before. Yeah, it's different style.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then Helen, like, and I have worked like I had hired Helen for a number of different things. Um, she runs VA boot camp and trains other VAs and was, doing different sales pages for me and things like that. And then eventually a year ago, she started working for me full time.
Yeah. I think like literally a year, like exactly a year to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was February.
Nice.
So
Whoa. Yeah, it was
solid year.
February.
Yeah.
Okay. And look where we're at now. Did you ever think that one day you'd have a career that involved talking to a non-physical entity?
It's so funny, like when people ask me like what types of clients I have and stuff, and I'm
Mhm.
like, how do I even go about describing what Christina does to like the person who's not in a spiritual
Yeah.
world, you know?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it was a slow transition for you because so Helen, Helen was in one of my masterminds before,
Yeah.
like as well. And I feel like that like opened you up
Yeah.
because especially we had an energy healing session and she in the session saw the birthday or like so you see it you got the birthday of your baby.
Booker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was it was in August of
Hmm.
like a year and a half ago, whatever. And I was like 7, 8 months pregnant because Booker was born in October. And I wasn't even like asking for it. I didn't really, it wasn't
Hmm.
like something I like needed to know, but I kept seeing like 10, 10. And it wasn't like just the number 10. It was like 10/10.
Yeah.
And it was so crazy. His due date was 10/17. And what's funny is like I had a C-section scheduled for 10/12 because of my like history. And so I had said if he's meant to come like before I'll, go into labor before that date. Um, and yeah, 10/10. It
Wow.
was like, yeah,
Wait, 10, 10, 20 or 10, 10,
10/10,
21?
21.
Okay.
21. Yeah, he's 16 months now.
10, 10, powerful day.
Hmm.
Well, wow. Yeah. So I feel like that really shifted things for you. And then when we were talking about like the position you're in now, I was like, I was like, you know how spiritual I am. Like, are you good with this? Like, you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I know. I mean, in so many ways, I've opened up so much more even in the last year. That
Mhm.
was like a big moment for me for sure. And
Mhm.
then the last year has just been like a steady,
Mhm.
just like more and more open to it. But I come from a spiritual background, so it wasn't like totally, different for me or anything. It's just I feel like like a lot of us, I like let go of it a lot in my 20s, you know,
Mhm.
and just didn't like listen to a lot of things and just thought I knew what I was doing, and coming to realize that I really wasn't listening
Yeah.
to, you know, my intuition and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. And then now Helen will just channel for me. We'll be talking on Vox and she's like, Christina, I have to tell, they're telling me to tell you this. She's like, I have to tell you this. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
just channeling.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never know what will happen.
You never
Uh,
know. It's like I now can recognize what that looks like for me. And it's like this like burning feeling
yeah.
inside, you know, inside my chest where like it has to come out, like something has to come out.
Yeah.
And I know that like looks different for everyone, but for a while I was like, what is that? Why do I feel like this? Why do I feel, it's not like anxious, but it's just, it's like, I need to say this,
It
you know?
has to
So
happen.
yeah,
That's how it feels when I have to write a book or when I have to
yeah.
do a program. Like, and I'm like, I literally have to do this right now. Like, we have
Hmm.
to do this event right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's a baby that's going to be birthed out of me. So yeah, wow. What a cool ride. So anyway, that's a little bit about Helen.
Such a ride.
And today she wants to talk to Goddess Isis.
Again, that just came out. Christina
Yeah.
was like, who do you think? And I was like, oh, no, 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 goddess Isis.
Yeah. So there we go. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Um, and yeah, I'll just let you roll with it.
Okay.
And you can just keep an eye on the time. Um, and yeah, like 30-35 minutes or so, unless, you know, she's right in the middle of a rant. But you know, don't be afraid to like engage, like
Totally.
converse.
Yeah.
Yeah, any questions before I pop out for a sec?
Just for a sec.
For 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we're ready to
Okay.
go.
Okay, cool. Give me give me a minute. It's a pleasure to be with you today. What is it that you would like to discuss?
Hi, thank you. Um, so today I have really been like coming up with a lot of the thought of like resistance and why we are feeling resistance in certain scenarios or certain situations of life, specifically in business or in the form of financial abundance. So it's something that a lot of us seek, right? Is to gain or manifest further abundance financially. But when it's not coming in and it feels like your manifestations aren't working, or like what you're looking for isn't working, or what you're working on in your business isn't working, how do you know when it's time to make a change or when to like pivot and do something drastically different?
It's an excellent question. And there are a few things that I would like to pick apart here. The first being understanding that everything is working for you. And so if you are feeling like things are not working, what will make it easier for you is if you actually gain clarity on exactly what the coding is in your reality, which is something that through your channel's work, she has discussed with different entities coming through, sharing the idea of if you decide the rules of your reality, then you have a sort of foundation to go off of. So, for example, if you decide that you are coding your reality with the belief, with the knowing that everything is happening for you, then when you hit a point of resistance, you don't have to live in the question of, is this for me or is this not? You know that it is already happening for your highest and best because you have decided that as the foundational belief. And when you know that it is for you, then you can recognize that that is a point of resistance that is indicating where you can pivot to something even greater. And so what's really important is taking a step back and gaining clarity on your foundational beliefs, because when you are clear on those and you know this is how I have programmed my reality through my beliefs, because that is what is happening. Your beliefs are coding your reality, so to speak. Now you can eliminate a number of possibilities that might be making it so that you are unclear on what the situation really means. So that is the first thing that I will offer to you, is getting very clear on your foundational beliefs that are coding your reality, because when you have decided that you are in the knowing that everything is happening for you, then you don't have to wonder, is this something that is not helpful? You know, it is happening for me, so I can pivot. I can listen to what this is telling me. I can see a new possibility. I can open myself to a new solution because I'm being guided to something greater. So what I will offer is knowing that everything is happening for you, deciding that, anchoring that in as a foundational belief, as well as deciding this or better, this or better, this or better. When you choose those two beliefs as programs to run in your reality, and so it is, and that is how it is, now everything becomes a lot simpler to decode as it comes up in your reality. So that is the first place I will offer to you to start. It is gaining clarity in yourself, which is also connected to, as you are moving through life and you're hitting resistance, particularly as an entrepreneur, because the type of person who often chooses the path of entrepreneurship is often, not always, but can be quite left-brained, quite business-minded in the traditional sense, and can be wired to push through hard things. You often have been so conditioned to push through hard things that you have become numb to what is resistance in terms of the universe, your higher self, showing you where there is an easier or more aligned path, aligning you with something greater, versus what you might call resistance, but is instead a challenge or obstacle, an opportunity to be called up to a higher octave of moving through the world, a learning lesson for you to step into your greatness, to step into your power, because for many of you, you are unclear on what is the resistance in terms of a redirection, and what is a challenge for you to grow through. And one of the ways for you to start to discern that will be to spend more time in connection with yourself, to develop the skill of discernment, to connect with your intuition, to connect in with your soul, to have space for yourself, to have quiet for yourself, to tune in, to learn to discern the difference between your brain, the shoulds, your mind, your ego, and your heart, your soul. Connecting with the non-physical energies that are here to support and guide you. It will be very important for you to have time every day, to have space to really connect with the voice of your intuition, and to start to unravel and unpack the layers of those points of resistance, to figure out, is this my obstacle that is a challenge that will expand me, that I am meant to grow through, or is this hard resistance that is my higher self, the universe redirecting me to what is even better for me? And so when you can start to take some time for yourself and tune into, well, what is this point of resistance? Where is this resistance coming from? Is it coming from within me because it's pushing an edge for me? Or is it coming from outside of me? Is it coming from it feeling difficult because this isn't working out with this person or that situation? When it's coming through externally, often, not always, but often this can be a sign that it is a redirect from our higher self, from the universe. When it is resistance internally, now you have learned an edge for yourself. Now you have seen where you can start to grow through this experience. And this is often the challenge that will bring you into your next level, where you can realize that just because you hit a road bump, so to speak, doesn't always mean you need to turn around. It might mean you just need to slow down and slowly drive over it, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to realize how powerful you truly are. But the key is in the clear questioning. Many of you want a very logical process. When is it resistance? When is it a redirection? When does this mean that it's not working for me? How do I know if I'm supposed to push past this? This is about you trusting yourself. This is about you understanding that you have the answers within yourself. This is about you slowing down and learning to ask clearer and better questions that unlock and activate the answers within you. The truth is that when you hit that bump in the road, there will be a deep inner knowing in your gut. Your intuition will be telling you, is this simply just not correct? Or is this something that is hitting my ego? There's a difference between resistance in terms of this is bumping up against my ego or my conditioning, the box I put myself in, my mind, versus this is resistance on a soul level. If it is resistance on a soul level, it is not aligned. And that is the opportunity to make a pivot, to redirect. But when it is resistance from your ego, this is the opportunity to start to ask some deeper questions, communicate with your fear, with your mind, with your limitations, and actually move beyond those limitations to step into your next level of greatness and become stronger, become more powerful, become more confident in yourself, because you realize that you have the ability to solve your own problems. And that is a skill that will be of the utmost importance throughout your entire journey of entrepreneurship or in life in general.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I feel like so much of that was needed to make the clarity between, like, is it resistance because you're supposed to get stronger and keep going, or is it resistance because you're supposed to switch paths and do something different and pivot? And I feel like, wow. Okay. So that was really amazing.
I'll add something here
Mhm.
as well, because this question is such a beautiful question. It is one that your channel often comes to many, many times. And every time she asks it, we have a different answer for her, because the answer is so nuanced and it's situational. And this is what we love about bringing these frequencies forward for you, is every conversation is going to unlock different layers and levels to it, and different information, different frequencies will be transmitted that will unlock your own inner knowing and deeper understanding around this. So it is very worthwhile to have this discussion for as long as you desire, as many times as you desire. And what is helpful is when you are hitting that bump, to be in awareness and recognition, to slow down, to pause for a moment, to tune in, to use that as the opportunity to start to build the muscle of discerning between your soul versus your mind, because you can only learn that skill. You can only learn how to tell what is the voice of your soul through application, through practice, through real life examples. So you're going to have to put this into practice in your everyday life. You can't think your way there. This is not something that you can just read in a textbook. You can really only learn how to ride a bike by getting on it. And this is the same thing as learning to discern your intuition versus your mind. What is the difference between them? So you're going to have to apply this in your real life to understand this, but also in that space, there is opportunity for deeper questioning, for getting to know yourself, but also there is no harm in starting to just move the energy in any way that you can. And moving the energy might look like something related to whatever the bump is. And so why not throw this option out here and see if that feels more in alignment, if this creates more ease and flow in the field, or if once again there's resistance here. Why don't I try out this option? I recommend one at a time, but just moving the energy, trying different things and just seeing if it catches, because you will be able to see when energy is moving in a certain direction and it feels easier, it feels more aligned, it feels like flow. And with that comparison point, you'll realize, oh, that is my inner guidance guiding me in this direction. Starting to shift the energy a bit, changing things up and just a little bit at a time. You don't need to make an entirely new commitment, but just starting to move things a little bit here and there. It's like finding the correct puzzle piece, but you just have to turn it around. that is what I would offer to you to start with, just starting to move the energy, but also just moving the energy within yourself. And so when you're so hyper focused on figuring out the solution, it is difficult for the clarity to drop in because you are in that state of resistance. And so noticing where, when you hit resistance in your life, in your business, are you then responding with a frequency of resistance? Because that's how many of you respond, and there's no openness energetically for the solution to come in. So starting to move the energy in other areas of your life can be helpful as well. This is where it can be very helpful for you to, if you have the opportunity to take a trip, go away for the weekend, or take a day off, try a new hobby, a new activity, hang out with different people, get your mind off of it. It's also very helpful to move things in your space. So if you think about, I just need to move the energy, start to play with, well, what are all the ways I can move the energy? I could do my hair in a different way. I could clean out my closet. I could rearrange my furniture. I could talk to somebody that I don't usually chat with. I could reorder my day. Just starting to do things differently, shake up your schedule, shake up your routine in a small way, doing things just in a little bit of a different way, in a different order. This is just opening up the energy and getting things moving again. So the energy isn't so stuck. And when the energy starts to move, that can create openings for the divine inspiration, for the insight to come through. And what will happen often is, as you are engaging in other areas of your life, perhaps communicating around different topics, doing different things, there might be a conversation or an experience that comes up that metaphorically offers you the exact answer you were looking for in this other area of your life. So when the energy is stuck, you get to choose how you respond. And responding with more resistance just shuts off the flow, just shuts off the divine inspiration. So how can you focus on keeping your energy open and your channel open to receiving the divine inspiration and allowing source to move through you? This is where starting to tune into where you are inspired and what is lighting you up is the thing that is guiding you to exactly what you need to have the divine inspiration, even when it is not seeming to your logical mind like it is connected. So when you are hitting that point of resistance, pause, take a step back, and ask, what would feel abundant for me now? What would feel joyful for me now? Would it be having a cozy day in my bed all day? Would it be going out to lunch with a friend? Would it be binge watching a TV series? Whatever it would be for you. It could make sense, or maybe it doesn't. It doesn't matter. But the point is tuning into what would actually shift you into the vibration that you desire to be in a totally different area of your life, which then calibrates you there vibrationally and allows you to see a solution, allowing it to drop in effortlessly from the frequency that you desire to be at. But when you are hitting resistance with resistance, it will be difficult for you to receive an answer or a solution that is at a frequency other than more resistance.
I feel like when we're thinking about the 3D and the physical, it's so much simpler to listen to our body in the 3D of being like, oh, I'm sore today, so I'm not going to do a workout, or I need more sleep, and so I'm going to rest more. But the spiritual side of like tuning into, what is my intuition telling me? What do I actually need spiritually today? Or what do I need for myself to like fill my cup? I feel like for some reason it's harder for many of us. And I think a lot of that too comes from the thought of like time and not feeling like we have enough time in the day to sit with ourselves and like be quiet and listen to what we need and get to know ourselves on like that intuitive level. What is it that makes some people in the 3D have more time and it feels like they're never running out of time to do the things that either they want to be doing or that they feel called to do, and others it feels like you're just always behind and you never have enough time to like sit and make that a priority?
There are a number of reasons for this. And what I'll first offer in relation to the first portion of your question is, for many, it actually is not easy for them to listen to their bodies. For many, especially those who are on the path of entrepreneurship, they're also often the type to be more disconnected with their body signals. They are the type to feel that they are tired, but push through because they have another meeting, they have another deadline. And that is actually a very helpful place to start. If anyone listening does resonate with that, noticing where they are not actually honoring their physical body as fully as they could, starting there will be supportive for you to then start to tune into the voice of your intuition and honor when your intuition is saying, not right now. It's the exact same muscle. It's just manifesting differently. So it could be fatigue. It could be exhaustion. That can also be your intuition communicating with you through your body. It's not just about, oh, I worked out too hard yesterday, or I was running around too much yesterday. A lot of the fatigue that many are feeling is spiritual. It is your intuition communicating through your body, because many of you will really only listen when it is through the body. So that will be very helpful, but it's the same muscle. The only difference is it might be more around emotions. It's around excitement. It's around inspiration, excitement, joy versus contraction. You'll feel more tired when it comes to things that are not in alignment for you, and starting to pay attention to connecting back with expanding time. The things that are truly in alignment will feel more effortless, will feel more like flow, and will give you more energy. If you are in the process of doing the thing feeling exhausted, then there is an opportunity for a more aligned way to do it, or perhaps it is the incorrect timing, which is why following the inspiration and your unique flow of timing is going to be so important. There are a few aspects to this, so we'll see where we can take this. But one of the pieces to keep in mind is that for many of you, your physical bodies are changing, right? So this is not just a conversation around 3D versus 4D versus 5D, or however you want to define it. It's understanding that there is a blending right now of what's coming through your physical body, what's spiritual, what's physical, emotional, energetic. And it's going to be helpful for you to actually stop separating all those out and to realize that it's all simply communication. Because a lot of, as I mentioned before, the physical symptoms are spiritual symptoms manifesting physically. As part of this process, many of you are shifting in terms of circadian rhythm, in terms of how much sleep you might need or not need. So some of you are needing a lot more sleep. Some of you are needing a lot less sleep. Some of you are shifting in terms of becoming a night owl or a morning bird, however you want to define it. Every day is going to look a little bit different. And so when you start to align with your body's natural rhythms, it will be easier for you to expand time, because you will be working with your body's naturally high levels of productivity versus lower levels of productivity. So doing any task at a time of day when your physical body wants to be resting, your brain isn't working optimally, you aren't in alignment with that divine stream of inspiration, that's going to take you a lot longer than if you wait for the time when you are on, when you are energized, when you are fully in alignment with source, with that divine stream of inspiration. It can flow through you very effortlessly. The example is your channel writing her books. If she tried to write one of those books next weekend, it would take her 5 months. Or she can wait until the flow is correct and she can complete it in 2 to 3 days. And so this is why the timing piece is very important. Also working with your natural rhythms in each day and finding when you are most productive and when you can be in that flow. What will be very helpful as well will be taking the time to do the things that expand your time, that allow you to get in that stream of divine inspiration, to get you connected with source, which is why meditation for many people creates an experience of, I've expanded time in my day, because they have connected with that divine stream, with source itself, and they are allowing source to move through them. And because they have first anchored into that higher frequency, now everything that follows will feel more like flow. This is also recognizing when you're hitting that resistance in your daily life, can you redirect and move to what your intuition, what your body is guiding you to, in terms of what would be most aligned for you at that time. And so the problem is that many of you have decided what the timing should be from the space of your logical mind, but it's not necessarily the most aligned timing. And so because you have committed to that sense of timing, you're trying to force things to happen on that timeline, and it's feeling very, very difficult. It's like trying to, what's an analogy I can give? It's like trying to run through the sand right now and get from point A to point B, running through the sand, you time yourself, or if you waited 5 minutes, somehow all the sand got removed and you could just run across the pavement. You'd be a lot faster. And so sometimes waiting more, or first meditating, journaling, getting clear, being very intentional will allow you to fast track the overall experience. With this is the work that you're doing in alignment for you? And that is the actual work itself. Is that how you are doing it? Many of you bring this energy of, I don't have enough time. This is going to take a lot of time, to the experience, which then contracts the time in itself. So you can move through the work that you have, whatever you have to do for that day, from a very different energy, and decide that you have all the time in the world. You can also decide things will take you much less time than you think they need to, because if you say that a task is going to take you 10 minutes, you'll probably finish in 10 minutes. If you say it's going to take you an hour to write that email, it'll probably take you an hour. So challenging yourself to contract the time a little bit, which will also mean in your business doing things a bit differently. Does that meeting have to be an hour? Or can you decide that it's 15 minutes? Now, with this, you're going to be called up in terms of how efficient are you? The biggest piece here, the most important piece here, is that people who experience a lot more time in their day have cut out the busy work. And the truth is that most of you are doing a lot of busy work. Most of you are checking notifications too much. You have too many portals of communication open. You are saying things that are extra. You are, instead of taking a moment to tune in and just type out the single sentence you need to type out, you are talking through it over 10 minutes. So you can do things a lot more efficiently. You can look at the tasks within the business within your day and ask yourself, is there an easier way to do this? Could this be delegated? Does it even have to be done? And the thing is that because a lot of you are just so used to doing a lot, you are plugging into the template of how work, career has been for a long time. You are seeing from that frequency, from that template, and you are unintentionally adding in a lot of busy work into your day that doesn't need to be there. So most people in their companies are doing a lot of extra things than they have to get the same result, or in fact, better. And that is not a judgment. Some of those extra things you might add in might be because they feel exciting for you. With social media, for an example, does adding the extra platform actually make that much of a difference for you in the end in terms of sales, for example? Maybe, maybe not. If you had put all the energy into just your original platform, perhaps you would have gotten the same exact result, but maybe being on that extra platform feeds your soul in some way. And so it will be case dependent. But the real question is, where am I doing extra things that I simply do not need to be doing? And part of this is going to be detoxing from all of the shoulds, all of the information. It has been helpful for many of you to learn from each other, to learn about running businesses, to learn about entrepreneurship. But at a certain point, there can be this sense of knowing too much, where then you're just running off of the conditioning and the previously created templates, rather than allowing your divine inspiration and your inner knowing to fully guide you. And so it's starting to peel apart. Am I doing this because I think I should? Am I doing this because other people want me to? Am I doing this because someone told me that if I follow this template, it's going to create this type of business? Or am I doing this because I genuinely feel inspired to do it? The thing is that the way that businesses are shifting at this time, a lot of what worked before won't work anymore, because what people are going to be attracted to is resonance. It's all based on vibrational resonance. So when you are allowing yourself to get out of the way and allowing source to move through you, allowing your higher self to guide you to how you can show up to fulfill the mission, that will naturally magnetize those who are meant to be in the container to receive the offer, whatever it is. So if you start to work on a more energetic level first, which is with your company and tuning into energetically what makes sense, but also within you, and starting to go back to, what are my foundational beliefs that are coding my reality? What is my relationship with work, with career, with time, with money. There are many deep things we can get into around your relationship with time and where you have felt like things are taken away from you, that sort of feeling. There's a lot to unpack personally. When you are doing that personal vibrational work, everything else will start to shake itself out, and you will realize that focusing on yourself is how you code your entire reality, which is why your channel always talks about it's the energetic piece that matters the most. And you might think it's not connected to your company, but it's when you move past that mother wound or that father wound or that limiting belief around time or that childhood trauma falling off the bike, that suddenly overnight all of your money portals open up and you are experiencing so much more revenue in the company. It seems disconnected, but it's because you have opened yourself up to receiving. You have changed your relationship to money. You have changed your relationship to time, and you experience, you feel, you live that when you shift your frequency, you code your reality differently, and you don't have to sort through all of this 3D nonsense of what should I be doing and what email should I check and what social media platform should I be on, because you realize that those are just the extras. Those are just the extras. So we want to get to the real root of what is going to really move the needle. What's the one action I can take, the one perspective shift I can make, the one vibrational shift I can make that will make it so that all of these other extra decisions or things on my to-do list that I think I need to look at, they just get knocked out because they're irrelevant. We want to look at that energetic root, and that is how you will really start to expand time.
I love that. And I feel like that's also like the beauty of entrepreneurship and being able to change things and cut things. And like you said, cut meetings in half if you don't need a full hour. I feel like I feel that a lot on my days where I have openness and the ability to just flow. So much more gets done than if there's this on the, calendar and a few hours later it's something else. It's so hard to get things done in between the things. And so I feel like, yeah, that was really helpful. Something else you had said is like not forcing it. And I think that's hard for some of us who are used to having these things either to do or that someone's telling us that we need to implement. And I think like the last question I really want to ask is, why are we so afraid of it being easy? If everything feels like it needs to be hard in order to be productive or in order to make money or like reach abundance or reach a certain goal, it feels like it needs to be hard. Like, where's that fear of like, it's okay if it's easy?
Well, that's a good question to ask yourselves, because that will look different for every individual. Much of it comes from, what will I do with the open space? What are the things I don't want to look at? Many of you pour yourselves into work or engage in your busy activities because you don't want to look at your feelings, your emotions, your relationships, where you're feeling like you don't have enough in terms of friendship. You don't feel soul aligned relationships, or you're not feeling fully happy in your romantic relationship, or you're feeling lack elsewhere that perhaps you don't want to look at. And so you pour yourselves into work and you make yourself busier because you're afraid of that extra space, or because you are afraid of truths you'll uncover within yourself. You'll then have no excuse to not look at those limiting beliefs or those unhealthy patterns. It's easier to have an excuse of being busy. It's also easier to have an excuse of being busy when you're afraid to draw boundaries, when you're afraid to have difficult conversations, when you're afraid to say no. It's easier to say, oh, Mother, I can't go to Christmas because I have to work. It's much easier to say that than to say, Mother, your energy is a vampire. You're a vampire sucking my energy, right? So it's much easier for you, many of you, to have this excuse of busyness than it is to speak your truth. And so many of you are afraid to speak your truth. You're afraid to say no, to say this is not aligned for me. You're afraid to have conversations. You are afraid that other people are going to tug on your energy. It's a hiding mechanism often. You are hiding from yourself. You're hiding from other people. This is a common one. Another reason why many of you are afraid of it being easy is because of simply conditioning that you are doing something bad or you are wrong if it's easy. You are afraid that you will be judged, that you will be called lazy perhaps. This is the glorification of the hustle. for many of you feel like to be successful or to be respected, you must be busy all the time. It has become a signal of how amazing I am, how busy I am for many of you. But then that leads to a lot of unhappiness. And it's often just this discomfort because you've already plugged into this idea in your collective consciousness. So when you plugged into it and then you're doing something different of, oh, well, it's easy and aligned for me, you might feel this false sense of guilt or false sense of doing something wrong. It's not that it's wrong. It's simply different than the idea that you have plugged into because it has been embedded in your collective consciousness. So it's just feeling the dissonance between what other people are doing, that vibrational gap, and what is most aligned for you. And so it is okay if it feels uncomfortable because it's a different way of doing things. But just because it feels uncomfortable, which is really, I'm just not used to this frequency, does not mean that it is not aligned for you. Another aspect of it is being afraid of your real mission, being afraid of your greatness. Because if you took out all the extras and you had open space, what truths would come in? What would you then be called up to do? How would you be called up to use your voice? What is the real mission? What is the thing that you're really here to do, but you're afraid to get on the stage, to speak your truth, to find out if you, or what would happen if you wrote that book, or if you stepped into that position or into that role? There is this interesting, what you relate to as fear, you call it fear, around actually living your mission and your purpose. And for many of you, you are constantly seeking this feeling of purpose. You're constantly seeking this fulfillment. And so you pour yourselves into work, you pour yourselves into busyness, thinking that it will help you feel this sense of satisfaction and like you're doing enough and I'm successful, I've done something. It's this sense of legacy that you're looking for. You're looking for a sense of meaning. You get thrown into this reality where, I mean, it's a heavy place to be often, and there's a lot going on, and there's this inner drive of, how do I create meaning of this? Because how can you come to terms with how much sadness and pain and suffering there is if there's not a deeper meaning, if there's not something more? And so you look for this sense of purpose and mission, and you think, if I build this thing, or if I pour myself into doing, it's like that false sense of energy from caffeine, but then you're actually exhausted the whole way along. And so you do that task, you answer that message, you stay in the shoulds because it's giving you that little hit of, okay, I did something. And it's illusion of, I'm building something, I'm doing something worthwhile. It gives you that sense of satisfaction in the moment. Of a big picture, you're feeling the lack, because the lack is indicating to you where you're not in alignment with your mission. You're not in alignment with your purpose. And so we have to peel apart your beliefs around what it's actually meant to look like and feel like for you in this reality. If you've already decided and plugged into the idea that you're going to be working this way, busy, this is the normal schedule. Even the schedule of, we work 5 days a week and we have a weekend of 2. Why? Why? Right? When you really start to peel apart, well, why does it have to look that way? Why not work on your business 2 days a week and rest for 5 days? Who decided that? Or these are the things we do on the weekend, and these are the things we do on the weekday, and this is my schedule. All of it is just something that was created arbitrarily. And I'm not suggesting you have to change it, but the point is to realize that you could shift it into anything that you desire. And you have to realize where you are choosing to align with a future that is pulled from an idea of, these are my options. You already have an idea of, these are my options, but there are far more options outside of what you've allowed yourself to choose from in terms of what your future can look like. And so if you're thinking that your only options are that you're working a certain amount, and you've built this type of business or company, it looks like this, is that how it has to be? Are you allowing yourself the space to fully shift into this energy of, you get paid to be you? Because that is where you are heading at a higher level of consciousness. All of the stuff that feels like work, it should feel like pure inspiration. It should feel like, if I had free time, I would feel excited to do this every day. This is what I would be doing every day anyway. And all of you are meant to be living in your gifts and compensated in whatever way. That might not always look like money, but getting that fulfillment because you are living your passion. Not everybody has the same passions for a reason. And so when you follow your passion, this is how you can start to open the door to seeing how your life could look differently, where maybe there is no difference between the weekday and the weekend if you don't want there to be. And maybe there is flow in your schedule, and maybe you decide that when you're working on your creative projects, or you're supporting clients, or whatever you're doing, maybe you like doing that in the middle of the night. Maybe you like doing that first thing in the morning. It's time to start coloring outside the lines. This is something that we shared yesterday as we're recording this in the transmission from the Women's Council, the Divine Feminine Council, that which I am also an expression within. It is coloring outside the lines, because you have boxed yourselves in. You have boxed yourselves in, and realizing that you have been living in this box that you drew up for yourself. Someone else drew up for you. You can decide to step out of that box and draw something different. And this is about actually being creative in your life. So where does the fear come from? I invite you to ask yourself, because if you keep going deeper with why, well, why am I afraid of that? Well, is that really what I'm afraid of? And you get to the kernel of what it really is it really fear? Or you might get to a point where it's, I guess I'm not really afraid of it at all. I'm just stuck in my conditioning. And it can really be that simple with many shifts of deciding to do something differently. The same way, if you have written with your right hand your whole life, you could decide right now to write with your left, and it might feel weird. It might feel uncomfortable, but you can make that decision knowing that if I keep practicing with this, eventually writing with my left will feel comfortable for me too. And part of what is very helpful is to just remove some of the emotion out of it. When you're making that shift, to understand I'm just shifting in terms of frequency, I'm just shifting a habit. And so I'm feeling something different, but feeling something different does not have to mean that it's bad, or that it's wrong, or that it's uncomfortable. It just means it's a different experience. And when I open myself up to a different experience and a different frequency, that can only expand me.
Wow. Well, that feels very complete to me. Thank you so much
Is
for
that
being
helpful for
here.
you?
Yes, total fangirl holding on to every word over here.
I would love to hear if anything in that sparked anything for you tangibly.
Well, I think what really helped me recognize is that resistance doesn't always mean a bad thing. It could be that I'm on the right path and it's just making me stronger to get past this. And I think that's where some of these questions were coming from, was I feel like there is some resistance right now, but it feels right. But why am I having that resistance like push back? And this really clarified it's not that it's not meant to happen or it won't happen. It's a matter of staying on the track and like continuing to move in that direction, and it will happen in the right timing. I think that's where, for me, that really hit hard in a good way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's similar to getting a massage. If you haven't gotten a massage and you have all these knots in your back and the massage therapist is working through them, it's not comfortable. Correct? But to keep living with those, it's going to be even more and more uncomfortable, and you might start to have your back hunch over. But if you move through that, what you perceive to be pain, perhaps, or discomfort in the moment of that massage therapist working out those knots, you're all opened at the end and you feel so much better. And so even just asking yourself that question, because your intuition will know, for everybody listening, is this just a knot in my back that the massage therapist has to work out? And it's uncomfortable for a moment, but I want to feel so much better when I work it out, and it's going to serve me in the long run. That's the question. And you'll know, maybe I just need to allow this to get this point of resistance to get moved through, shaken out, and then I can breathe again and I can expand. Just ask yourself that question. Your intuition will guide you. But I'm very happy that you got some tangible takeaways from this. And hopefully these are things that you can start to play with and implement in your daily lives, and even having conversations with the people that you work with, because many of you are craving the exact same things right now, but because you don't want to annoy someone else by being weird about meetings or whatever it is you think you are, things like that, you're not making different suggestions. You're not saying, oh, I prefer to only do it this way or only do it that way. So offer what you would desire. Could we do it this way? How could we make this more succinct, or how can we cut this down? Does this really need to be the song? Offer it, because somebody else might be craving that exact same thing. So you get to co-create this new experience of your career. It's going to require you to start to make different decisions and to innovate right now. So bring forward those suggestions, because other people are waiting for them as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, does that feel full for you? Complete?
It does. It feels very complete.
Beautiful. Well, it has been a pleasure to communicate with you today, and I hope that this conversation was very helpful for all in the audience as well. And I am greatly looking forward to further communication with you in the future.
Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Hi.
Hi.
How did it go?
That was so good. That was,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like, I said it at the end. I felt funny after I said it. I was like totally fangirling on Goddess Isis.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's the
But
best. She's fun.
yeah, it was good. How much of it do you like? How much, like, does it, any of it like soak in? Like, are you conscious at all to any of it that came through, or do you have to re-listen to everything?
No, I am aware of a lot of what came through. It's sort of like, for me, it's sort of like I'm doing tasks, or imagine like you're doing tasks around the house, like you're folding laundry, you're putting dishes away, and you have a podcast on in the background.
Hmm.
So it's like you kind of know what it was said, but you weren't really like fully there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But more of what I get is like through my own experience
Mm-hmm.
up there. So I always think I got a lot more than I do. When I listen back, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I was,
Yeah.
so, but I also think the messages in themselves, like for everybody, it's like the kind of thing you got to listen to a couple times anyway, just to like get it all,
Mm-hmm.
So no, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I know, I'm aware of what a lot of what was said, but I know when I listen back, I'll be like, yeah, I was aware of 10%.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was great. It was like very clear on a lot of the points I had brought up of like
Mhm.
what resistance can look like.
Yeah.
And I think for me, and I had said it at the end, it was just so much of it was like, and I'm not necessarily talking about in my business. I'm talking about something in a different area of life, but we've been hitting like resistance in like house hunting right now.
Mhm.
And it just kind of came clear to me that like maybe it's not the exact right moment. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen or,
Mhm.
to stop. It's just this might not be the exact right thing
Yeah.
right now. Because every
Yeah.
opportunity that comes in, it's like, oh, and then it doesn't work out, And
Mhm.
so the question that I had kind of like come through like halfway through the recording, it was just kind of like, oh, that clears it up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing piece. So
Hmm.
that's, yeah, the ongoing question.
Well, and we
Um,
talked about collapsing time too. Again, like I love that topic so much. I could hear about it all day long.
yeah, I need to listen back. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's gotta be an answer. And
that was
I've
good.
never, amazing. Cool. Well, thanks for co-hosting.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was fun.
yeah, everyone listening, let us know if you enjoyed this. Be sure to send in any questions that you might want to hear discussed on the show. You can go to christinathechannel.com/pod, POD, and submit your topic or your question there. And if you did enjoy this, be sure to take a screenshot, share it to social media, tag me at Christina the Channel, tag at Christina the Channel podcast. You can tag Peterson Virtual Assistant, right?
If you want to, yeah.
If you want, you don't have to. Tag Goddess Isis. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I should just like make like Finstas for all of the people I channel.
Channel. Oh my
Yeah, it'd
gosh,
be so
that'd be
funny.
so funny.
Yeah, share it on social media if you found it helpful. That way we can say thank you and repost you, because it really helps to grow the community. So we hope
Yeah.
that you found this interesting and helpful. Thank you again so much for listening in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day, and I will chat with you again next time.